Thinking about visiting New Zealand? The road trip across the South Island is one of the most beautiful drives in the world. But planning it can feel like a full-time job. The good news? I've already done the research for you. After 2 years exploring New Zealand from top to bottom, I crafted this perfect 2-week itinerary, the best hikes, the hidden gems, and every stop worth making day by day. I've also kept a few of my favorite tips for the end. Things I really wish someone had told me before I went. And if you haven't seen my North Island itinerary yet, check the link above. Together, they cover the whole country. Our journey starts on a ferry from Wellington, and if you can, take it in the early morning. Cruising through the sounds at sunrise, it's something special. Grab a coffee in Picton and watch the harbour wake up. A perfect slow morning before the adventure. Then hit the road to Kaikōura, one of the best places in New Zealand for wildlife encounters. On the way there, stop at the seal colony lookout. Hundreds of seals bask on the rocks down the cliff. I couldn't help but smile as they tumble and flop around, adorable and clumsy. Just 30 kilometers south is the Kaikōura Peninsula itself, teeming with seals, seabirds, and plenty of surprises. Try to time the coastal walk so you finish at sunset. The light on the ranges at that hour is worth planning around. The next morning, book yourself into a tour you won't forget. Kaikōura is one of the best places in the world to see sperm whales or swim with dolphins in the wild. These tours fill up fast, so book ahead, especially in summer. After lunch, head inland toward Rakaia Gorge. It's a beautiful place to stop and stretch your legs, with sweeping views toward Manhattan in the distance. From there, you can choose to stay in the area for the night, or do what we did and push on to Lake Tekapo. It's the longest driving day on this itinerary, but every kilometer is worth it. After a long drive last night, take it easy. Grab a coffee in the village and stroll down to the Church of the Good Shepherd, with Lake Tekapo and the mountains in the background. It's one of the most photographed spots in New Zealand for a good reason. From here, hit the road toward Pancake. Follow the scenic drive along Lake Punakaiki, one of the most beautiful roads on earth. I really love this area. Honestly, it's worth spending several days here. Breathe the mountain air, watch alpine parrots misbehave on the trail, and just slow down. The walks here are unforgettable. The Kia Point and Hooker Valley are both accessible for most fitness levels. And the views of the New Zealand's highest mountain, absolutely breathtaking. If you're after a real change, climb the 2000 steps up to Silly Tarns. Or push all the way to the Muller Hut. And if your budget allows and the weather plays along, a scenic helicopter flight over the glaciers is worth every cent. At night, keep your eyes on the sky. This whole region sits between a dark sky reserve, one of the darkest places on Earth. Stargazing here is incredible. After a few days in the mountains, it's time for a little change. Head south through Lindis Pass on your way to Queenstown. The landscape here is a world away from the scenery most people picture when they think of New Zealand. Around Cromwell, keep an eye out for the roadside fruit stalls. This area is famous for its stone fruit orchards. Cherries, peaches, and apricots are exceptionally sweet thanks to the unique climate of this region. Before you hit Queenstown, stop at Kawarau Bridge, home of the world's first commercial bungee jumping. You can jump if you dare, or if you are like me, just watch others. Equally entertaining and less terrifying. And then Queenstown, the adventure capital of New Zealand. But it's also a cozy alpine village packed with the great restaurants, bars and entertainment. Take the Skyline gondola up for those iconic views over the Queenstown and the Remarkables. It is a perfect place to enjoy fun activities like riding the luge, ziplining, dining, or going for a walk. With shorter scenic loops available, as well as the option to hike all the way up to Ben Lomond summit. And at night, the streets come alive. This is where you trade your hiking boots for a good meal and a well-earned drink. After that little city break and Queenstown's energy, we are going back to nature. Follow the lake south with scenic stops along the way into Fiordland National Park. This is the wild heart of New Zealand, and in my opinion, the most extraordinary place in all country. If I could visit only one place in New Zealand, this would be it. So spend a few days here if you can. It's quiet, remote, and truly unlike anywhere else on Earth. You can base yourself at one of DOC campsites closer to Milford Sound for full immersion, or stay in Te Anau if you prefer more comfort. While you are here, visit the bird sanctuary, home to some of the rarest native birds of New Zealand. And stop by the visitor center for trail conditions and the local advice before heading deeper into the park. The drive from Te Anau to Milford Sound is only 120 kilometers and takes about 2 hours. But give yourself half a day. The stops along this road are pure magic. And if you happen to drive it on a rainy day, you'll see thousands of waterfalls pouring off the cliffs. It's one of those drives that makes you pull over every 10 minutes. Spend the morning on a Milford Sound cruise. It's spectacular on sunshine, but even more dramatic in the rain. Then hundreds of waterfalls appear out of nowhere, cascading down the fjord walls. The boat pulls up close enough that you are breathing the spray. Cold, loud, overwhelming. You can feel the spray and power of nature the first hand. If you want to stretch your legs, take a boat taxi to Sunfly Point and hike to Giant Gate Falls, part of the famous Milford Track, often called the finest walk in the world. Out here, deep in the fjord and far away from any city, you'll feel truly remote, connected to nature in a way that's hard to find anywhere else. And as the name suggests, Sunfly Point is home to plenty of sandflies. You'll notice them immediately, so bring repellent and long sleeves if you want to enjoy your hike without constant bites, just like anywhere in Fiordland. And if hiking is your thing, Fiordland is a paradise. From shorter walks like Key Summit and the Lake Marian Track, to more demanding adventures like Gertrude Saddle, which will test your legs but reward you with views that don't feel real. There are plenty of options. And if you have a full day to spare, hike to Lake Mackenzie along the Roadburn Track. It's true showcase of Fiordland diversity. For a totally fresh perspective, take a scenic flight over Milford Sound and soak in an unbeatable bird's eye view. These flights usually take you over alpine lakes, glaciers, and the southern Alps, giving you stunning looks at the fjord and everything around it. After 3 days in Fiordland, make your way back east over the Crown Range one of New Zealand's highest sealed roads. Trust me, the views will have you wanting to take it slow. Our destination is Wanaka. Think of it as Queenstown's more relaxed cousin. Same mountains, same lakes, half the crowds, and much slower pace. Grab an ice cream at Patagonia Chocolates, then walk along the shore of Lake Wanaka to see the famous that Wanaka tree, one of New Zealand's most Instagrammable spots, worth every cliché. For hiking around Wanaka, 2 tracks stand out. The Diamond Lake and Rocky Mountain track is a beautiful and accessible option, with sweeping views over the lake and surrounding mountains. And then there is a famous Roy's Peak track, one of the most iconic hikes on South Island. Set your alarm early and start before dawn. Watching the sunrise from the ridge up there is something you won't forget. But allow plenty of time as the hike is uphill and quite demanding. Before leaving town, top up your petrol and stock up on food. Shops become scarce and expensive the further west you go, so this is the place to do it. From Wanaka, head north on the Haast Pass Road. Winding, dramatic, and one of the most rewarding drives in this entire road. This is where landscape transforms completely. You're crossing the Southern Alps and dropping into the west coast, New Zealand's least populous region and one of its most untouched. The moment you drop off the pass, the air changes. It's heavier, greener, wetter. Take your time on this road. Blue Pools track is an easy walk to glacier-fed pools. So clear and blue, they look edited. Worth a swim if you're brave enough. Fantail Falls and Thunder Creek Falls, both are quick roadside stops. Take just minutes, but the views stick with you. And Roaring Billy is a beauty, a short easy walk along the Haast River. They are even more powerful after the rain, so if it's pouring, definitely don't skip them. Continue north along the west coast, where the road winds between dense rainforest and the sea. Make a stop at Sheep Creek. The vegetation here is unique to this coast, and you get this sense that the landscape hasn't changed in centuries. A boardwalk winds through coastal wetlands, right where the forest meets the sea. It's one of my favorite stops on the west coast. Fair warning though, this is the sandfly territory. But if you made it this far, you've got the repellent, right? A little further north, pull over at Knight's Point Lookout. The views open up, rugged cliffs, crashing waves, and nothing but the Tasman Sea stretching out in the front of you. And don't miss Lake Matheson. A short forest walk leads to the postcard views of Aoraki Mount Cook, perfectly reflected in still water. For the clearest reflection, come early in the morning or late in the afternoon, then wind drops. Skip the Fox Glacier itself and head straight to Franz Josef. It's bigger and there are far more opportunities to explore it up close. But don't wait too long. The glacier has been shrinking fast for decades. And seeing it now feels like catching it before it's gone for good. But if you got half a day, Roberts Point is worth every step. The trail winds up through rainforest, and then, suddenly, glacier right in the front of you. And if you still got a bit of energy, don't miss 2 hidden gems right from the village. Gorge Walk brings you to the striking blue waters, and Tunnels Walk takes you through old mining tunnels. Bring a torch, walk slowly, and look up for glowworms. If you want actually to get on the ice, book a guided glacier walk. Experienced guides take you right into the glacier itself. Walking on a glacier feeling the ice crunch beneath your boots, it's an experience that hits you in a way photos can't capture. Before leaving the coast, there is one last stop you can't miss. Punakaiki Pancake rocks. They're exactly what they sound like. Layers of limestone stacked like enormous pancakes, carved by millions of years of wind and sea. Time you visit about an hour before high tide for the most explosive action. From here, it's time to say goodbye to the west coast and turn inland toward Artus Pass, a dramatic alpine crossing through steep gorges, beech forests, and cascading waterfalls. The pass itself is worth a few stops. Devil's Punch Bowl Falls is an easy walk leading to a powerful waterfall. And keep an eye on the rocks and trees for Kia, the world's only alpine parrot, and possibly the cheekiest bird you'll ever meet. For the last night of the trip, stay in Artus Pass village, tiny, remote, and completely surrounded by mountains. After weeks of driving, it's a genuinely peaceful place to stop. Start your final morning slowly. A walk through Castle Hill is a perfect firewall among the mountains. The Dalai Lama once called it one of the most spiritual places on earth. Make of that what you will, but it's hard to stand there and disagree. From here, head toward Christchurch, your final stop, and a city unlike anywhere else in New Zealand. The city is still rebuilding after the earthquake, but that process has transformed it into one of the most interesting and creative cities in the country. If you have time, the Canterbury Museum is worth few hours. The Christchurch Art Gallery is free and genuinely world-class. Before I let you go, there are a few tips that will save your time, stress, and money on this trip. First, rent a car or camper van. There is no debate here. Public transport simply won't get you anywhere in these places. Second, whatever Google Maps tell you, double it down. Don't schedule yourself so tightly that you are rushing past the best parts. Third, build flexibility into your plans. The weather on South Island changes fast, especially on West Coast and in Fiordland. 4. Book your wildlife tours and Milford Sound cruise before you leave home. Tours often sells out weeks in advance during peak season between December and March. And finally, stock up on food and petrol whenever you can, especially before heading to the West Coast. Towns are far apart, shops close early, and prices go up the further you get from the main centers. And that's it. 2 weeks, 1 island, and enough memories to last a lifetime. I said at the start that this might be the most beautiful road trip in the world. 2 weeks later, I think you'll agree. If you love traveling, make sure to subscribe to this channel. I share detailed itineraries and travel guides like this one. And if you haven't seen my North Island itinerary yet, that's where this journey begins. See you in the next one!